Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Let's Play. Today we're going to be taking a look at The Elder Scrolls Call to Arms, Modiphius' most recent licensed tabletop wargame, which can be played solo or with any number of players as either a head-to-head or a delving adventure game. Now this box set is a 1-player to 2-player starter set with the core rules designed by Mark Latham, and it's also designed to go with this, the Bleak Falls Barrow starter set, which gets you a Dragonborn and then enough minions and monsters to the adventures that are in this box right here. So I'm going to do in this series is I'm going to go through, because this is an Elder Scrolls game. You have to escape from something in the beginning. So this is going to be the Escape from Helgen that we'll do today, which will help us walk through the core mechanics of the game. It'll end up in a fight with some Draugr that we're basically like holding us captive and we have to bust out from, and will allow you guys to learn sort of the core mechanics. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the 3-scenario Bleak Falls Barrow Delve, and a Delve is a single-player mission or cooperative mission where either you and some friends or you by yourself, which is what I'll be doing as I'm participating in self-isolation and social distancing right now, get to play a sort of like cool dungeony questy adventure. It's got all the hallmarks of Elder Scrolls. I'm really excited about it. So let's take a look at the contents of the boxes. I set up some appropriate terrain for the missions, and we'll get sort of showing you the ropes of this game underway. So here I am set up to play some Elder Scrolls Call to Arms. Now there's 2 sets here that I'm using for this demonstration. I've got the Elder Scrolls Call to Arms core rules, and what this contains is basically all the gubbins to play. And what I like about this is you're not faction locked or hero locked if you want to try it out. You've got everything separately. 2 complete sets of tokens for 2 players, including 2 sets of things like activation tokens for monsters. 1 set of all the gear, treasure cards. You get exploration and event cards for both the battle mode, which is this little symbol right here, the 2 axes, the head-to-head mode, and also for the delve mode, which is the adventure mode, which I'll be playing. You get your adversary cards, so all the monsters that come in the Bleak Falls Barrow set, which is the Draugr with great swords, skeleton archers, and a Draugr overlord. You get their individual fighter cards. You get upgrade cards for all of your gear. You get your treasure cards for in the game, which we use in the demonstration. This right here is for putting your activated monsters down. You get your cards for all of your heroes, so things like the Dragonborn, or Rayloff, Warrior of the Resistance, the bow. You get your dice, 3 of each, because there's a maximum of 3 on any given test. Accuracy dice, and then effect dice that are basically increasing in severity. I'm really happy this time around. So a lot of the DNA of this game is the same as the Fallout Wasteland Warfare game, but they've gone with D6s this time around. It's a little more manageable, sort of like numerically, but it does still run on a half D20 stat check system, using pretty much the same die with a critical success and a critical fumble of failure too. So that's the effect crit, and there's the fumble right there, the X. Critical failure to try and roll equal under stuff. You have your priority die. It's a coin flip basically for factions, so like it's like Imperials and the Resistance, the Stormcloaks. You have all kinds of spell cards for more upgrades. You have things like shouts, because it wouldn't be Elder Scrolls Skyrim based without shouts. Traps that can come off in game, and then a variety of other tokens and effects for things like treasure chests, for randomly generating your scenarios and stuff. Master chests, which are for your like big relics, your master treasures. Your damage and your stamina, magic, and those basic like resources that you'll manage throughout the game. So how many hit points you can take before you die. Stamina is used to boost things, and then magic, of course, is for spells and shouts and things like that. And then your event cards that happen during the event phase. And they are also divided between your battle mode, like 2-player or more ones, and your delve quests. And they sort of like give you sort of like the fun crackerjack stuff that like pops up during games. You also have follower cards that can also be used as like adversary cards for every faction. So for instance, the Dragonborn is an adventurer, and that means that she has access to pretty much every other faction on her card. So she can take the Imperials and the Stormcloaks as allies, but no more than half of her party can be comprised of people from the same faction, unless they're of the same alignment as her. So she can have any number of adventurers in her party, but only half of them can be from her allies, which are the Nords and the Stormcloaks, or sorry, the Imperials and the Stormcloaks. And the models of the adventurers faction can be included as hirelings of other parties, unless there's a restriction on that. So like, she can also be hired out basically to anybody else and fight with them if they're using a pure faction. And then she's a fortune hunter, the party champion all followers, and all friendly faction heroes and followers within 3 treat searches of free action, which I'll explain later. Every faction card also has their AI on the back here, so that's how you're going to activate adversaries when you're playing Delve, which we'll get to as we go through the 3 missions where she escapes from Helgen. get your rulebooks. Now, all of these are available as free PDFs online, and I'll link it in the video description. You can go download the rulebook, the Escape from Helgen, and the Quests book, and check them out for yourself. So, it's obviously this is a Let's Play. I'm going to get this 85% right as far as rules, because I'm teaching myself to play a game by myself, and you're watching the second trial run of this, as is tradition. But of course, if you want to just get a sense for the rules for yourself, you can read through the rulebooks for free. There's $0 PDFs available from the Modiphius website. The last thing that you'll notice, different from Fallout Wasteland Warfare, is one, there's a significantly less tokens, and they're all very straightforward. I would say there's a lot less token hell in this game. And there's no measuring sticks. They did away with the measuring sticks, and they're using good old-fashioned inches, so you just have to measure how far things go with a standardized move rate, and then certain bonuses for how you can move further and push yourself with stamina and stuff like that too. So very happy to see just standard measurements. The game plays on a scaling map depending on how many septims you're playing. So septims is points in this game. And I'll get to that when I go through the anatomy of a card and stuff, but you can play from anything as small as a 24-inch map to a 36-inch to a 4x4. So if you're playing the standard-ish game size, which is like around 200 septims, 299, I think, you'll be playing on a 3-foot mat. So that's most of my games after I play through this intro, you'll be seeing on a 3-foot mat. And there's a variety of great mats available online and in stores for you guys to check out to do that. But I'm just actually using, if you're going to want to wear this mat from, it's a 12-inch mat. It's 2 War Machine scoring zones from GameMat.eu and some Urban Mats, Arcane Walls to create my little 12x12 dungeon here for the Dragonborn to escape from. And then outside the box set, we have this, which is the Bleak Falls Barrow set, which comes with this cool female Dragonborn miniature with a banded iron shield, leather armor, and steel sword, and I painted this up. This is all hard hips plastic. Now there is a resin option for these if you want like some fine resin casting, but this is GW quality plastic. I put this together with testers and testers like polystyrene cement, and it went together beautifully. The instructions were just fantastic. They also did a thing where they didn't just number code all the pieces, they letter coded them too, and it was the best. So you're not looking for like 37 through 76 or something like that when you build the miniature. You're looking at A 37 through 76. There's a letter code and a number code. So as long as you just look at the letter code and pull out all the letters that are the same, you never screw up the pieces for your miniature. And it was so easy to build these, and such a nice piece of product design along with the illustrations putting together that I really enjoyed building this set and painting them up. You get some 30 mil beveled plastic bases, hard styrene bases. You get your Draugr Overlord that I painted up here, and some old undeady Draugr armor, and then you get 3 great swords and 3 archers, which is more than enough for the first 3 missions, which are outlined in the quests book in the starter set. So this is a companion box basically to the starter, and it's a great way to learn the game. And then I've also got the Stormcloak and the Imperial starters that add some more adventurers, heroes, and followers that I can do when I start recruiting my actual warband to go fight these guys in the delve. So for the Let's Play today, you'll see these monsters show up towards the end as I teach you about fighting and stuff. And the next 3 episodes over the next 6 weeks, because it'll be bi-weekly, you'll see all these guys show up as I basically go on an adventure and try and get back to Golden Dragonclaw. So let's talk assets before we get to mechanics. Core sort of assets. We have our character cards here, and they're mirrored basically on the adversary cards and follower cards. Hero cards are people with names and people that can level up. So it has 2 sides. You see this side here, there's no cost because this is the leveled up version. You can spend VPs like experience over the course of the game to flip your card to experience for the rest of the adventure. So the Dragonborn will start on this side. They have their septim cost. Now, if I was building a warband, which you'll see me do at the end of this explanation, I would also pay the septim cost for any of their equipment they get issued. But for right now, so if, for instance, the Dragonborn has a septim cost of 74 before any upgrades. She has a health of 5, so she can take 5 points of damage before she goes to incapacitated with a check, or just destroyed if she fails her check. Stamina is 3, and stamina is like boosts. So you can spend stamina to do things like make special power attacks, kind of like in the video games where you really try and hit somebody hard, or you block or whatever. Stamina is, think of them like spending might points in Lord of the Rings, where you're doing a little additional work basically to try and make something better. So like the most standard use of stamina is if you're hitting someone with your sword and you want to make a precision attack, you can add this green die, which is the accuracy dice, to your roll. It's all stat checks, so these are your core kind of like depletable stats. Magic is the same way for for magic. Basically, you're going to spend that to do shouts and cast spells. Then you're going to make a skill test, basically, and the accuracy can increase it. You can also use stamina to things like increase your moves. Your base movement is 6 inches, but you can increase that to 9 if you're going to make a stamina, a rush, basically, to do that. And stamina and magicka come back every round as a sort of like a recurring resource. So if you use them, they will replenish, but you might have to wait if you use too much for them to replenish all the way. So you can have a big turn or whatever, but those things will sort of like go and come as you play your rounds. If your height, which is your size, so height 2 means 30 mil base and typically like an inch to inch and a half tall. And like I said, your cost there, which is your septum cost. Then you have your core stats, like your strength, and these are all target numbers for tests. So test is rolling the d10, basically it's a half d20, and trying to roll equal to or number under that number. So strength is going to be her core stat there because she is a Nord from the Path of Might, and that's what she used for her one-handed attacks. So anything with this symbol, so like a corresponding symbol would be if I was making a Ancient War Axe, Nord War Axe attack, I'd use that symbol, which is the strength stat there. Same with this guy, so the bow, the Ancient Nord bow, I'd be using her agility stat, which is 4. So like I said earlier, I'm trying to roll under a stat with any skill test, so I'm going to roll this die. If I was to spend a stamina, I could roll this die as well, and it'll modify the roll by that negative, and even increase effects. So like if the Ancient Nord bow rolls on the precision die, the little skull, you're going to get sort of a little, I guess, a Dragonborn helmet. It adds the piercing 1 roll, so it reduces people's armor as well. So in this case, I would have hit because I'm agility 4, so rolling equal under 4, but I actually rolled a 3 because the accuracy dice reduces that number by 1. You can see each of the different stats governs different skills, and not everybody has every skill. So if you don't have every skill, you don't have access to certain actions, but for the most part, people have most of the skills. The Dragonborn obviously being not just a hero, but also the champion, has access to way more stuff than a normal person. If you look at Rayloff here, he can make one-handed attacks, archery attacks, he can lockpick with his agility there, and then he's got block, I can't remember what that one is at all, and then no other skills under intelligence and wisdom. Light armor is that skill, that's the light armor skill, and then snakes are on a plane. Sneak, there we go. So he can use agility to sneak as well. See that if you spend VPs, now if you spend 5 VPs, you can level a hero up to their leveled, and they'll stay leveled for the rest of the adventure, for the rest of the chain of events that you do. Their stats will increase. Like her health stays the same, but her stamina and magic could go up by 1 and by 2, respectively. And then her strength goes to 6, her agility goes to 4. Actually, I think it already is 4. Yeah, but her endurance goes to 5, she gets a little tougher, and then her wisdom and intelligence stay the same. So neat, like, way of kind of like simply leveling the models up and making the adventures a little more sort of like interesting. And as your party could have multiple heroes in them, you might have some that are leveled and some aren't through the chain of missions as you play the game. And then the primary source of increasing your abilities, a lot like in Elder Scrolls games, is the gear. So you find better and different gear that you can equip the models with. And you'll see that the card here has different slots for that. So you have 2 hand slots, which you can put 1 and 2-handed weapons in. Now it'll show you how many hands it requires. So for instance, the hunting bow or the Ancient Nord bow will actually require you to have 2 slots, and this goes in your inventory and sits off to one side. It's not equipped. You have to take an action actually to switch this into a hand and put this in your inventory. So while it's cool to have like a ranged weapon, hunting bow takes 2 hands, you're gonna have to swap it. Your body can have your armor, and then you have quick slots that typically will take up the things like potions or other quick items. A sweet roll, of course, that you can eat to try and regain health and stuff. Other relevant cards for an adventure is going to be things like the treasure deck, and for this this first mission, we're going to actually have 3 cards that it tells us to pull, which are the Ancient Nord Bow, the Ancient Nord War Axe, and the Potion of Plentiful Healing. We're going to put Rayloff off to one side here, along with his gear, because we're not using him right now. Those will go back in the upgrade pile of cards. And we will start a little adventure with like some of the core rules. So the Dragonborn wakes up in a dungeon, as is tradition, not knowing what the hell's going on, and having to basically fight their way out and find some gear. So now there's 3 tokens here, and we'll go through some of the simple actions that you can do and the game turn itself doing this mission, just so you sort of like the core moving around part of the game. This is a delve, which means it's 1 player, but in a normal game you'd flip initiative and say, oh look, the Imperials, the bad guys. The bad guys. They would be the ones that would be taking the initiative and activating the first model. This also doubles as your scatter template. So if you look at that little arrow, when you flip it, it points the direction of a scatter. So if you're required to scatter something over the course of the game, That's where it would go. When you want to set up a build your own mission, I'm going to cover that in a later event. We're going to go through like the actual like Escape from Helgen right now as our sort of our demonstrations. The first one's exploration. What you're going to need: Dragonborn miniatures and their character card. You're going to need 3 normal treasure chest tokens, which I put down, so just blank. So a normal one is one that's blank on the side. So when you check a treasure token with a search, it could have an effect like it's locked or you have to force it or something like that. The blank ones are just regular. So she wakes up in a basement. She's got no equipment. There's 3 treasure tokens. We're told to shuffle, and that's the Potion Healing, Ancient Nord Bow, and Ancient Nord War Axe, and the Tape Measure Ruler so we can move around. So we're going to put this all to one side. We don't need the this token yet because we're not going to be actually doing any initiative stuff because it's just one player. I will live. So now when it comes to my turn to activate, when we're playing as a single player, there's no need for any kind of initiative. You just activate your models any order you want. Whenever they're activated, we'll place an activated marker on them to see if they've gone, and we're going to do a bunch of things. So we can take a whole list of actions over the course of a turn, and there's one basically for every job you could possibly want to do, and they're pretty simple. As far as like moving around the table, you can be elevated. You'll make your moves and measure distances up and down when you want to climb. And there's 3 kind of states. You're either in the open. So let's say that this skeleton archer wanted to shoot our dragonbone. Yep, she's in the open. She is obscured, which means she's partially out of line of sight, and that would give her a bonus to armor if this skeleton archer was a shooter. And there's blocked, which means she cannot be seen, even though she's like near the model. That model can't draw line of sight to her through the wall. So like I said, the start of the round, the advantage phase happens. We'd flip this if there was 2 players, but there isn't. Now, any start of round effects will also happen after you flip for advantage, but again, not relevant here. Now, you can do a whole bunch of actions during your activation phase. You pick a model, they replenish their reserves, right? So they will get back a point of stamina and magicka if they have any depleted. She doesn't, obviously, so it doesn't matter at this point. And then they can perform actions. Now, sometimes they can have effects on them, such as staggered, shaken, and incapacitated, that will reduce the amount of things they can do. So a staggered model basically activates as normal, but you can't use stamina to do any boosts. It's like a little like, oh, I'm kind of winded sort of an idea. And then shaken models, they basically activate as normal. However, before getting any actions, they have to make a wisdom test. If they fail, the shaken token remains in place, but they lose an action. If it's passed, then they can just remove it and act as normally. So staggered's bad. Shaken, you could actually lose like a full action. And then if you're incapacitated, it means that you've been knocked out. You've gone to 0 health, but you've made an endurance test and passed. And then you get placed with an incapacitated token. If you take any further damage, you go out. But it's basically that scene in the video game where you're lying on the ground rolling around and someone has to come help you to try and come back. Or you can rally on your own later on by passing an endurance check. If you fail it, you can just bleed out. Standard actions in alphabetical order, things like aid. If you're in base to base with a friend, you can try and bring them up if they're incapacitated, use a potion on them, stuff like that. Attack, which is either ranged or melee. So range if you have a ranged weapon, melee if you're adjacent to somebody. Block, which allows, if you're armed with a shield, you can take a block action to basically hold that shield up, and you get to add the passive shield value to your armor all the time. And if you want to spend that block token, you can add an enhanced amount too by passing an endurance check. She's actually got a bonus to that because she's from the Path of Might. She uses Might to check for block instead of endurance, even though it's an endurance skill. Command, which heroes can do. So the champion can actually tell other people to go do things or have them use her wisdom for rally and morale checks and stuff like that. Another hero, so like another named character, can actually order followers to do stuff, but can't order the champion or their heroes to do things. And then followers can't take those actions because they're just peons. They just listen. You can hide. Hide means you got to make an agility check, and if you do, you get a hidden token, which is kind of like going into camo and infinity. You have to get tested to try and see you, and you can sneak around. You get bonuses if you attack out of your hidden sort of state as well. You can pickpocket, obviously. You can move or just walk around. You can ready, which means you hold an action for when something does something in line of sight of you, or gets into melee, so you get attack or shoot, or cast spell. You can search. Now, what's cool is the adventurers can search as a free action if they're within 3 inches of their party champion, or if they're just the party champion themselves, because they're in it for the loot. And then special actions, as dictated by your card or your equipment. Swap items, which means that you can spend an action to hand another hero like one of your things, or if they're in melee, 2 actions to do it because it's a bit harder to do, obviously, or withdraw, which is break from combat. Free actions don't cost 1 of your action points, so you get 2 per round. So in this case, I'm going to take the Dragonborn, I'm going to activate, I'm going to replenish, which I don't do, and then I'm going to make a move, but that move, I'm going to spend a stamina point, 1, to make an enhanced move. So I can move 9 inches. So my normal move is 6. Every model in the game moves 6 inches with a move action, but I get to go 9. Because I am doing it at a rush. So I've spent my point now for my first action. Now what's cool is because I'm an adventurer, I can search for free. So I'm going to take this treasure card away, and then deal a treasure card from the top deck. Now, whenever you deal a treasure card from the deck, you can either equip it immediately or put it in your inventory and use the swap action to pull it out of your inventory later on. So what did I find? Ah, cool, I found a potion of healing, so I can put it on my quick slots, and she can use that later on if she needs to. Now, because that was a free action, I still have a second action, and I'll just walk again over to this one, but I can only free action search once per round. So that's it for my turn. So that's my turn over, and that means we go to the event phase, and we'll draw an event card and see what happens. So normally during this end phase, what would happen is any monster on the table would get to activate. They would roll on their sort of like behavior table to see what they do. And we'll cover that in the third mission of this, or the third part of this, this video. And then we draw an event card. And the event card is going to be a delve card, and what we do is we read the text and see what it does. So this is a delve card. It's used in dungeons, and one monster will spawn with this one. So lights out. If the darkness rule is not currently in play, they immediately take effect until the next end phase. If they're already in play, draw another card. So what it does is it means that a monster will spawn, and the monsters get placed on the table. They get placed basically as far as possible from the any heroes and at least 6 inches away. And then it goes dark, so basically like all the torches go out. And it means that we can't see very far, and there's basically like different rules for darkness when being in a dungeon. But not relevant for this mission, and so we move on to the next turn. So again, I'll have priority. I'll take a free action to search this right here. What do we find? Something cool, we remove it, and we get an Ancient Nord War Axe. We're going to place that. It's a one-handed weapon, so I use my one-handed skill with it. It does damage of a accuracy die, which could trigger the critical effect, and then also a red die, which is the mid-range damage die. And it'll add damage and critical effects too. If I roll a Dragonborn Helm, I get bleed, which means that during the end phase, people take additional damage. And if I roll double swords, I get punishing. Punishing is basically useful against heroes and minions and masters, or sorry, elites and masters. They can stay on the table and actually revive if you don't kill them all the way. And that means that their endurance check to try and stay on the table after they go below 0 for hit points, they get modified basically by the amount of additional damage I did. So if I hit somebody with a punishing weapon, chances are they're not getting back up. And that was a free action, so for my next action I'll walk over here. And then I can only take each action once per turn, so there's no point in me trying to search again because I can't do it twice. And we go to the end phase again. As we're not using monsters in this one, I'm just trying to collect my gear. We don't have to activate anybody, and we'll just flip another event card. What was that? If the adversary rules are in effect, choose a point in the gaming table within 6 inches of one of your models. The adversary spawns from that point instead of a table edge. If the adversary rules are not in play, discard this card and draw another one. So there isn't one. It would normally spawn a single monster. And then we got open ground. Choose one of your models. This model adds 2 inches to its basic movement allowance over open terrain until its next activation. That's pretty cool. So the Dragonborn basically sees the door, and then it goes to another turn. Start around effects. There aren't any. I'll take my free action to basically search and find the last treasure. And what is it? It's, hey, sweet, it's a Ancient Nord Bow. So I'm not going to equip that. I'm going to throw that in my inventory, which is off to one side, and that means that I can equip it later on with a swap action if I want. And as my first action, sorry, actually when I activated, I should have gotten this endurance back, or this stamina back as my regroup, which means I'll put it right back on now. As my second action, I'll move off the table, seeing the exit, going 9 inches, and we'll go into scenario number 2. So we're in mission number 2 right now, which is target practice. I saw the door basically, and the other end of the hallway, which was apparently some kind of armory, I found a bunch of practice dummies. They look like Dragir with greatswords, but they're all dead and just kind of like pinned up against the wall. So on the left here, we have a practice dummy, and then we got 2 targets that I can try and shoot as well. And what that means is that during the start of this first turn, we're just going to try and eliminate these targets. They're all minions, which means they have a single health point. If I do any damage to them, they'll just die. Normally in this tutorial, again, you wouldn't worry about the turn sequence and stuff like that. You would just hit something and it would die. But I'm going to go through the damage rules just so you guys can see how they work. And I will treat them as actual Draugr with greatswords so you can see the way that the armor rules work as well. So, start my turn again. Any sort of round effects would go off. And then I choose my Dragonborn to activate. And she's going to, I guess, charge over and try and stab one first. So she's going to expend a stamina to make an enhanced move for the first action. And that means she can move up to 9 inches. She'll charge the practice dummy, which is over here, with her sword. So she's going to charge over there, well within 9, and then try and make a stab. Now, that's a second action to do that, and she's going to spend a second stamina as well and go to 2, and by doing so, she'll add an accuracy die to her strength test. So now she has to test on whatever the skill for it is, and it's a single-handed weapon, so it's going to be under strength. So try to roll the white dice equal to or under 5, and because I rolled an accuracy dice as well, it means that I'll be able to get a modifier basically to this roll to try and reduce whatever I got. I get a 3 with a -1, which is a 2, which means I've successfully hit the target dummy, and we're going to treat it as a Draugr. So now normally what would happen in this tutorial is I just remove the model, but we'll show the way the damage works too. So the axe does a green plus a red die in damage, and if I manage to roll a skull or a double swords, it'll have an additional effect. Bleed's not going to matter. If I do any damage here, I'm just going to kill them, and we'll see how much damage I do. So I do 2 damage. I don't trigger any additional effects because there's no effect dice symbols. And the Draugr has 1 yellow die to block with. So unless he blocks all this damage by flipping the 2 here, which is basically a 6, see there's a blank, a bunch of 1s, a 1 with a critical effect, he's going to be dead. So he rolls a 1. He reduces my successes by his, so I have 2 successes. He has 1 success, so it goes to 1. But he still only has 1 hit point, so that just removes him. And he's dead. And so he would go back next to his spawn number if he was an actual like minion. And that'll end the round. So the round over, we're going to go to the activation page for the Draugr. There isn't any adversaries on the board. These are just dead bodies I'm attacking. And we're going to flip an event and see what the event was. I'm just going to keep flipping events basically throughout the mission. Inspirational Bard. Place an NPC token or a spare model on the board, no closer than 10 inches to any of your own models. It cannot be moved like a civilian. During the game, you may spend 1 VP when one of your heroes is in contact with the token to increase one of your attributes by +2 for the rest of the game. Remove the token as soon as the bonus is claimed. So basically, I could just place, like, we found a prisoner down here, and he's all like, I love you, and add to one of your attributes by spending a VP. Kind of neat. Now, because I just killed one of these models, I achieved an objective. Normally in other missions, you would score VPs for that. So let's say I did have a VP. I'd use one of the VP tokens, and that VP token is one of these little gold tokens right here, which could be spent, right, you see, to create the effect that I'm describing here. But other than that, that's basically it. And we'll go on to the next turn. So I'll replenish one of my stamina in the start phase. Well, the activation phase, actually. Start phase, no start of game effects happen. And I go back to 2 actions. So what do I want to do here? So we are going to have to swap weapons now. So I'll spend an action to do a swap. That's going to bring the Ancient Nord bow into action here. And I'll try and take a shot into the Sulfur. So I'm not gonna actually move. I'm just going to spin so it looks cool and it looks like I'm shooting. And I'll fire my bow. So I'm in the open, or that model's in the open, which means that it is in short range. So I actually gain an accuracy die. So if you look at all of these guys, they have short range of 8 inches. So at 8 inches or less, it gains an accuracy bonus. At over 8 inches, it doesn't lose any accuracy, it shoots normally. And then away from that, it just can't shoot. So at 8 inches, I'm just going to be able to shoot with the accuracy die and then plus 2 damage. Now that accuracy die only applies to my damage roll, not to my to hit roll. If I wanted to make a aimed attack, which is what I'm going to do, I'm going to spend a stamina to do that and gain an accuracy die there as well. So I'm short range, means I get increased damage here, but if I want the accuracy bonus, I have to make a precision shot, which costs me a stamina. So we'll go for that. I need to use my agility in this case to shoot, because that's where my skill sits, and that's the type of weapon this is, and this is my second action. Let's see if we can hit. So 2 minus 3, so it goes to 0, which means it's a hit. And I'm going to get 2 yellows and a green to do damage now. I get 3 damage. I don't know why I rolled that die. I just picked it up by accident. And no effect dice. I didn't actually trigger any effects. Now in this case, if I triggered the skull, it's piercing 1. It automatically reduces the amount of block created by the Draugr by 1. So again, the Draugr has a single yellow die to block with. I did 3, he gets 1, does 2 points of damage, and he's a minion, so more than 1, just kills him. That was my second action, so we go to the event phase, no adversaries to activate, we'll flip an event card. Ancient Riddles, place a puzzle objective token on the gaming area, no closer than 8 to any player-controlled model, if possible, place it as far away from others. So you pick an objective token out. Now objective tokens have, where are they? This little guy, and it's a puzzle, which is not that one, which is one of these guys right here. And I could go and try and solve it for additional VPs, which is kind of cool. So that event basically is going to give you bonus objectives points if you want them over the course of the game. But again, we'll worry about that later on when we play through the actual like quest line for the Bleak Falls Barrow. So now new turn. No start round effects, so we go right to my activation. I regain a stamina, and I can choose to either try and shoot it far away or move into close range. I'm going to move into close range, but I'm actually going to move so that this guy has cover. So I'm going to walk 6 just to demonstrate how cover works. I'll move over here, make it a little harder on myself, and try and shoot this last target dummy. So I moved over there, first action, second action, I'll make an attack, and I'll also make it precision. Now because he's in cover, he's going to gain a bonus die to armor. Actually what that means is he's going to roll 2 yellow dice instead of 1 if I hit him to try and block the effects. So let's roll and see if we hit him. So again, I've done a precision shot here, so I get the green accuracy die, and my agility is 4, so I roll 4 or less, I'll hit him. And I get a fumble, so no matter what I got there, even with the accuracy bonus, I just totally flub. Now, for the sake of this is just a demo, I'm gonna roll it again. And get a crit this time, hooray! A super crit. And what that means is, with my modifier, I've obviously hit this model. Pyramids of Potion is kind of cool. It just means you get a little bonus, and you can actually get a fumble with a potion too. What it means is I immediately replenish one of my resources. I can even do health. I just catch a second wind, and I get my stamina back. And that means that my bonus basically there is that it didn't cost me to do that precision shot. Because it's a critical hit, I also add a black die, which is the exclamation point, to my damage roll. So I'm accuracy die for short range, 2 yellows for my damage, because I'm using the Nord Ancient Bow, and then because I got the critical effect, I get this. So let's see what my total is. And I get, holy moly, I get a million things. So I get a total of 4 damage, no critical effect off this, but I get 2 critical effects. I get an Elder Scroll symbol and the skull. Now I only have the Dragonborn helm. I only get the Dragonborn helm one, which is piercing 1. They're not cumulative. So I pierce a point of armor, which means when he makes his roll, plus an additional die for cover, I'll be piercing one of those. So he gets 1. This won't trigger any additional effects because armor doesn't do anything bonusy, I don't think. I'll look at his card. Nope, armor rating is just a yellow die. He would get them on his damage, though, if he was hitting me with his sword. And he blocks 2 points, 1 because of the piercing, and then I did a grand total of 4, so he takes 3 points of damage and is just obliterated by my lucky cheating reroll. And I've eliminated all of the target dummies now, so we'll go on to the third mission. I find a doorway. Cool, or maybe the puzzle tells me that if I move these boxes over here, I'll find the way out. Alright, so mission 3, we're going to escape the dungeon. So we have the Dragonborn model and character card, the Ancient Nord Warbow and War Axe treasure cards, the leather armor upgrade cards. We don't actually use the potion here. A Draugr model and its adversary card, a skeleton archer model and its adversary card, a gaming area 12-inch square, a tape measure ruler, and to complete the scenario, the attacker must you must attack and remove the Draugr skeleton from play using all the rules you've learned so far. So I go first. The Draugr and skeleton are minions. They only have a single point of health, so if I beat their armor rating, they're just dead. So start a round, no start a round effects, and I'm going first. I have 2 actions. So I've recovered all my stamina, and I think my first action will just be to move. So I've decided to start with my War Axe equipped and my Nord Warbow not equipped, and that means I will just charge in with my first action. But I'm going to charge in such a way that I'm over like this, and try and be slightly obscured behind the barrels, so she can fight this Draugr. Now the Draugr, of course, is the same as those target items I had before. I've also numbered them 4 and 5 and put down 2 other minion tokens so that we can see who gets to basically go first during the course of this mission. And we're going to just make a swing. So I think we'll spend a stamina to try and make a powerful blow here, precision strike. And that means we get the green die in accuracy. And we're trying to get under our strength. One-handed weapon, which is the Ancient Nord War Axe. Do I hit? An 8 with a -1's a miss, which means my second action fails, and I swing and just don't hit this guy, which is clearly going to be trouble for me. So that was my second action done. I could make a free search action, but there's no treasure on the table. So this is a good time to introduce reactions, and reactions are basically out-of-sequence actions that can be used against you by adversaries to basically activate without having to roll, or to having to see if they randomly go. Now in a delve mission, the AI will pick randomly from this pool to see who goes next, but if you complete an action within 6 inches of somebody, they get to make a reaction. And that means that this little fella is going to try and hit me. Define his token, which is 5, and flip it already so we don't accidentally flip it down and draw it during the event phase. And that means the archer is going to go next. And he's going to try and roll on his table. He is a Path of Might and an aggressive character, so that means he's going to follow those chain of events. We roll the black die and get triple this, so that's going to be an A for attack, and that means he is going to just basically, if he can move into me, he would, and sprint to do so. He's aggressive, and then try and make a swing. So he's going to try and hit me with his sword. He's already engaged with me, which means he doesn't have to use his boost. When you activate a adversary model, they get 1 boost, so it's like they have fake stamina they can use once per activation. He is always, because he's aggressive, going to use his to try and make a powerful strike attack as his double-handed weapon. So he's going to get a bonus yellow die if he does hit me to damage, and also if he does damage me, I'll be staggered. But luckily, he's not super great at hitting. He's just a Draugr, and he is a strength of 3 with his double-handed weapon. So on a 3 or less he'll hit. He doesn't do a precision. He does a powerful attack instead. That's just in his nature. And he rolls a 3 exactly. Damn it! He hits me. Oh no! And he hits me with his melee weapon, which is a green plus a black for damage. And because it's a powerful strike, he gets a bonus yellow, and I'm going to be staggered after this. So let's see how much damage he does. He is going to do 3 with a sword. No critical effect from the accuracy die, and that means it's punishing. If I get knocked out by this, I'll be at a penalty to my endurance test, try and stay on the table. Hopefully that doesn't happen. I had to make my armor roll now. I get an armor rating of yellow, so I'll reduce it by a yellow die. I have 5 hit points. It's not going to kill me in one go. So luckily, I should be okay. So leather armor, if I get the crit, it will also add another yellow die to my reduction. And I did. So I get a yellow die, reduce it by 1, and because I rolled this, I get a bonus yellow die in melee only. I reduce it by 2, so I only take 1 health and damage. Woof! Good job, Dragonborn. So she takes a health point damage, because she reduces his total of 3 down to 2. And the punishing doesn't get to trigger because I'm not knocked out. He gets an activated token. Whoo-wee. And who's going to go next in the event phase? Well, obviously it's going to be this little guy because we only have 1 token to draw here, and that's the Skeleton Archer. So he is a cautious attitude, Path of Shadow. So rolling the black die again, black effect dice. I get a 3, which is going to be, for Path of Shadow, a move. Move directly towards the target as close as possible. A cautious adversary will stop short of its maximum movement in order to get into cover. So what's going to happen is he's going to move over here and trying to get into cover. And then he's going to try and hide as his second action. So he follows this matrix. So cover's available, moves to cover. Block, not able to block. He's going to hide. So he's going to make an agility test and try and hide. He's a massive agility of 3. So maybe he'll do it. If he rolls the die and gets under a 3, he's going to be replaced by a hidden token. And he does, so he becomes hidden, which means I have to make a check to try and find him, and he might get a sneak attack bonus against me. We draw an event card, and we get a sweet, sweet Calm Before the Storm. If the Blizzard rules are in effect, they cease. If neither Darkness nor Blizzard rules are in effect, use the Blizzard rules from the start of the next round onward. Okay, so next round something would happen. If there was adversaries, 2 would spawn. This is an outdoor card, actually. This shouldn't be in this event deck. Ash might have forgotten to curate the event deck. You're supposed to pull only the locations you're in, so it should just be a dungeon. Because I'm doing like an enhanced demo here, I'm making some of this up as I go along. So these are city, the ones with the houses, and then these are wilderness, so they should have been pulled from this deck before I drew. And so instead we get the Golden Claw. This is a special quest item in the Golden Claw. In possession of the Golden Claw when the game ends. Yay, it's a cool extra event. We find the Golden Claw. Doesn't have any meaning in this, but we see a glint of a Golden Claw out in the distance. The round ends, that means that we will start over again, so no start round effects. I'll get my stamina back, but I still have a damage on me that doesn't replenish, and I get to activate. Now, both these guys are potentially going to activate when this is all over. So I have to try and stab this guy. Well, don't beef it this time, Dragonborn. Let's roll. We're going to take a stamina again to try and make a precision strike. Let's see if I can just kill this idiot with my War Axe. Come on. We gotcha. Perfect. So I rolled a 4, goes to a 3 with my accuracy die, under my 5 for my strength. And then we get to try and slam this dude. So we get a red plus a green for our damage. And he has a yellow to try and defend. So what do we get? We get 1 damage with the critical effect of punishing. Not that it's going to matter. And then does he roll a block here? He does. I do 0 damage and he survives. Interestingly, something I've forgotten is Banish the Wicked. I add a orange dice to attacks performed against models with dead or undead vampire and werewolf races. So I actually get to roll a bonus die that I keep forgetting about and do 2 more damage. And that will knock him out. That's a perk of just the Dragonborn. And I forgot it for the whole target practice mission, but I'm just going to remember it now so I can kill this dude. And he gets knocked out. Now what's interestingly is that these models don't die. They go into the spawn pool next to their number, and when the event phase happens, another one might show up. Because this is just the demo, they won't in this case, but you don't ever wipe out minions. Minions just keep coming back over and over again during the event phase. So the only way I can actually interact with this guy now is if I try to detect him. Now I get a bonus accuracy die to detect, but it's going to be an intelligence check. And the reason I get a bonus, I'm within 6 inches to do the detection. So he's just hiding behind some barrels. Like I might actually see him. I'm intelligence 3 though, which isn't great. You know what? YOLO. If I do detect him, this isn't an action to do it. It just means that I can target him with a move action to get into melee. I really just want to get into melee because this guy doesn't have a melee weapon really. I mean, he does, but it's not going to hurt me, I don't think. And if I can charge in there, it'll keep him from shooting me because he's going to activate right after this and I'm going to get shot otherwise. If I don't make this test and detect him, I'll run behind cover. I do, I crit him! Sweet! So I see it, -3, which means I automatically see him, and I recover either a stamina or a health. I'm taking a health, baby. Let's do that, and then let's charge into melee with him. and he's going to lose his token because I detect him. I'm like, stupid skeleton, you make that weird skeleton noise whenever you go anywhere. I can totally hear you. I'm talking about that weird creaky noise all the skeletons make in Skyrim. So having moved into melee now, he's going to activate because he's within 6 inches of me immediately, and we'll roll on the behavior table for a cautious shadow character to see what they do. So again, black effect die. I'll roll a 2, which is going to be this one right here, which is move. So a cautious move in this case would try and keep him in cover. If he can't do that, he's going to block, and if he can't do that, he's going to hide, and he can't do any of those things. So if he can't do any of those 3 things, activation immediately ends. I guess I surprised the hell out of the skeleton because he thought he was invisible. It's like Drax eating the nuts. He's just like, what? You can see me. And so event phase happens. He would activate normally, but he's already activated because he goes from a reaction. And then we're going to get our event. And the event is disease. Choose one of your models. They make an endurance test or receive the disease diminishing effect card. Oh no, that guy had something, or that Draugr was forever unclean. So an endurance check at 4 or less. Pass, I'm okay, whatever, I'm just gonna wash my hands. Social distancing works. Turn, no start round effects, let's start doing some stabs. And we'll try and finish the skeleton off, and then I'll end the round. So I'm gonna once again take a, this comes off because I replenish, and then I'm gonna go back to 1 to try and do a precision strike with my war axe into this archer. Shablam! -3 and a fumble, damn it. So I fumble, but I gain this endurance back because I rolled a potion, I get an immediate potion effect. But I fumbled, I missed. Oh, bum. So anyway, that just happens. And my second action, I guess I could withdraw, but I like being in melee with this guy because he's not going to do jack otherwise. Shield I could block, but I'm not equipped with the shield, unfortunately. I have a Nord, the warbow instead. And so I'm just going to stand there and burn my second action. So he'll immediately activate, and let's see what he does. Try move again. Yeah, he moves again. So he just immediately ends his activation because he's just like so shocked that I'm still sitting there. So you draw another event phase card. Ancient Riddles, place a puzzle objective token on the gaming area. I know we've done this one before. So the puzzle shows up. It's like, surprise, the door is over here. If you wish to try and leave, then you must answer these riddles 3. And then start around. I don't have any stamina replenished because I got the bottle there. Same thing again. Stamina up and slam this dude into the wall. Kill him. Precision strike. Oh, it's a 5 exactly. We just got it with the -3. And that'll hit him. So he's undead, so I get not confirm my bonus dice this round, plus this, plus the accuracy die. The Draugr Archer has a defense of yellow. So how much damage do I do? I do 2, and the critical effect, which is in this case a bleed. Now he's undead though, and his faction ability is he's immune to bleed. He ain't got no blood. No wait, he's immune to frost and poison. Oh no, and all undead models have immunity to bleed. Yeah, he doesn't have any blood. Doesn't make sense. Can't make him bleed. Does he block it though? If he rolls that 6, he doesn't, takes point damage, and he's dead. Second action, the Dragonborn goes to the door and goes, I'm out! Peace! So there we go. We've done our escape from Helden with the Dragonborn using the contents of the Bleak Falls Barrow Delve set. So the next thing we're going to do, and you'll see this over the coming through like 6 weeks basically, I'm going to be doing this, you'll see the next one in 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks, is having an adventure basically where the Dragonborn is going to go and try and clear a cave. What's cool is the contents of this box is all I really need, but I do want to recruit some additional friends. And that means that I have to figure out really how many points of adversaries I have, because for every 175-ish points of adversaries, I'll be able to take 150 points of my party. So the Dragonborn here has a standard loadout, and the standard loadout is going to be dictated in the quest book, which is the back of here. So for doing the Bleak Falls Barrow adventure, I'm going to play scenarios 4 to 6 from this book in a row, basically in order. And to complete and win the adventure, I have to have the final scenario complete with the Golden Claw in my party's inventory. I'm trying to retrieve it. We did have a bit of a break-in, but we still have plenty to sell. Robbers were the only after one thing, an ornament of solid gold in the shape of a dragon's claw. I got some coin coming from my last shipment. It's yours if you get the claw back. If you're going after those thieves, you should head to Bleak Falls Barrow, northeast of town. That's Luke and Valerius. So you can do this with any limit, but when you look at what I've got as far as adversaries, that's kind of going to limit how big my party can be. Because for every point of your party, you take a point of adversaries to go after it, and for every full 100 points of your party, you get a bonus 25 points. So basically, for every 100 points of heroes you bring and followers, you have 125 points of bad guys in your collection. My collection of bad guys right now is just these idiots. So to do this one in particular, I've got 72 plus 45 plus 50. So 95 plus 72, which is 97 plus 70. So 95 plus 72 is, I'm an idiot, 167. So roughly 175 because it's rounding up. There's no 5 or 7 point guy or 8 point guy I can take to try and make this like flat. And that means that basically I can have a 150-ish point party. And the Dragonborn has some standard equipment. You can see here for all of the 2-player starter boxes that you should start with. A steel sword, a banded iron shield, studded leather armor, and a potion of minor healing. Now, unfortunately, there's no cards for the banded iron shield or the studded leather. So I'm going to go with the next closest thing, which is a wooden shield and leather armor. Because they just don't exist in the deck. Maybe it's just, it could just be that literally the names changed over the course of printing. So I'm just going to go with these. But that does make the Dragonborn's total cost 6, 10, 15, 99, no, 89 total. And that means for painting up some followers, I have the 2 other boxes to play with. I have the Stormcloak box and the Imperials box, and I'm going to have roughly 61 points to spend to do so. And they also have standard loadouts to pick from. So if I want to take Hadvir, Roloff, for instance, and keep my Adventurers faction, for every one I take from one side, I'll take another from the other side. I could take Hadvir, the Hero of Helden. He's 46, but he's armed with some pretty spendy gear, an Imperial Sword, Imperial Shield, and Imperial Heavy Armor. So the Imperial Armor, Imperial Shield, and Imperial Sword come out to 10, 15, 21, so 67 of my 61 budget. So I wouldn't really be able to afford all this, and he's probably not going to be the one I pick. I do like the idea of taking someone that's kind of a complement. I thought about taking the Imperial Mage. She's only 36 septims to hire, but her spells are bananas. The Imperial Light Armor, Flames, and Firebolt are like another 30-ish points. So I don't know which one I'm going to take so far. I'd like to take a cheap character and then maybe a follower as well. So I was thinking about taking Rayloff, the Warrior of the Resistance. He comes armed with a War Axe, Hunting Bow, and a Stormcloak Cuirass. He's a pretty cool option because he's a Nord. He follows the path of Shadow, and he only comes in at a grand total of 9 plus 14 is going to be, 23, so 59, so 2 points under budget for me. And that's going to put my party at a grand total of 59 plus 89, so 98, 148. So I got 2 septims to spend if I can find a cheap piece of upgrade gear, maybe. So like a potion is 3, maybe I'll give somebody something that's 2, and that's going to be my party. So I'm going to paint up Rayloff, and we'll start doing the Bleak Falls Barrow Delve from the Stormcloak box.
So there we go, a first look at Elder Scrolls Call to Arms, Modiphius' new adventure battle game for the sort of the Elder Scrolls and particularly Skyrim, in this case, sort of themed universe. I am amped with this game. I got to tell you, great job to Mark Latham for taking all of sort of like the core essence of their Fallout system, the Fallout Wasteland Warfare system, and distilling down what was really great about it into a really manageable game. The core mechanics are simple and easy to understand. The skill tests are really easy to understand. It doesn't suffer from an overabundance of assets. And generally speaking, the gameplay is fast and quick and a lot of fun. I'm really excited about the AI system and the fact that it can be played in the delve mode. I think there's a lot of replayability in this. And especially considering we're doing this in such a unique time, I feel like there's a ton of potential for this game to be a great one-player game that people enjoy for years. It's got a lot of replayability because you can play with different heroes and different adventuring parties. And I love, and again, big props to Chris Birch and Modiphius for the proc design itself, because I love the fact that core rules are separate. You can a la carte choose your adventures. They can do tons of adventure packs like the delve sets. It's a perfect kind of a la carte, and I keep saying a la carte, but it's because you get to choose what you want for heroes. For you're doubling all your heroes as adversaries. So if you want the Imperials to be bad guys, they can be. If you want the Stormcloaks to be bad guys, they can be. You can just have monsters and stuff on the table and to exploit the universe. I was a huge Fallout fan. I am a huge Fallout fan since the beginning, but I'm just as big an Elder Scrolls fan. I've probably put just as many hours into things like Morrowind, Skyrim, and Oblivion as I have into all the Fallout games too. So this is exactly the game I wanted it to be. I am amped for the product quality, which is like hard styrene miniatures, everything about it. It's just, it's hitting all the right boxes, and I liked Fallout. If you've watched all my Let's Plays for Fallout and stuff like that, you know my sort of like my basic critique of the game. This is
all of the best things about that product design, and then they took the best parts and they dropped off kind of sort of the SS, like the sort of superfluous stuff, and made a great streamlined adventure game, which I think has a ton of replayability. So I'm amped for this. I'm excited to see more. Big thanks for Modiphius saying for me to check out, and big thanks you guys for watching. We'll see you for another Let's Play in the future. Another Elder Scrolls Call to Arms game in 2 weeks. Thanks, I'm Ash. Happy wargaming. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to support the channel, of course, like and subscribe and hit the little bell below to get notifications when I post future content. I do post stuff 7 days a week. If you want to support the channel further, you can, of course, buy a t-shirt through Spreadshirt, buy a measuring gauge or objective markers from Death Ray Designs, or, of course, most importantly, there is Patreon. Patreon is what makes all this possible, keeps the lights on, pays for the studio costs, pays for the equipment, model costs, and everything else, and most importantly, puts food in my kids' bellies and a roof over their heads. Big thanks to everyone, past, future, who supported me. I do this stuff because of you guys, and of course, I will continue doing it as long as I can.